what steps can we take to bring more meaning to our lives? And the kind of context of this for me is that, you know, I've spent the last 4 years heading up an organisation around kind of trying to create a place and a space for men to come and find me. And the biggest barrier almost that we face is the pressures on people's time.
Yes.
And the kind of the busy lives that people now lead, and the way that can erode even a really heartfelt commitment to a different way of living.
Okay. I think we need to stop. Really, honestly, I think we need to stop. We need to stop watching television. We need to stop buying stuff. We need to stop and sit. We need to stop and look at the sunset. We need to stop. And when that happens, we can begin to listen. I think there's a lot of folk who don't. The velocity of their lives is such that they don't actually realise they're not doing much. You know, I'm on my way to the airport. I'm late. Well, I'm giving that to people all the time. I'm giving that out. But when I stop, I fall into a heap. But when I do fall into a heap, things begin to happen. I begin to hear things. It begins to talk to me. And I know that at that point I'm connecting. Something is connecting with me. Is this making sense? It's just allowing it the space to come in. So it's not that we need to do less. We just need to periodically just stop it. There's a wonderful story about Gandhi. You've probably heard this one. Who was asked by a journalist, American journalist, who said, how do you deal with this incredible business that you're dealing with now, this incredible life that you've suddenly found yourself living, as he was one of the most famous men in the world. And he said, oh, it's very simple, really. I just meditate for an hour every day. And she said, but what do you do on those days? You know, those really busy days when you've got wall-to-wall meetings and you've got everything is kind of coming at you. And he said, on those days I meditate for 2 hours. And I think it's about what we think of as time, you know. I know that when I get this out in nature, that's my gift. It was given to me somehow. And when I'm out in nature, despite the fact that I've got tinnitus, that I could chop my ear off, I know that I can listen. I can settle into something. Does that make sense? I slow down to the point where I stop and begin to hear what's really talking to me, as opposed to that pesky bloody seagull that's been bothering me all evening. Oh, blah, 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 blah. I begin to hear that maybe the seagull is trying to tell me something. Anything could be telling me something. But I need to pay attention. And we don't pay attention. We certainly don't pay attention to each other, and we don't pay attention to the world around us.